Yaya is crying so heartbreakingly, and you're still memorizing classical Chinese. Before the college entrance exam, the school belle got dumped by some dyed-haired loser outside school and wanted the whole class to skip the exam to help her get over the heartbreak. To please her, the top S tore up all my review materials. Tomorrow, no one is allowed to go to the exam venue. We're going to let the whole world know that Ya's tears are more important than the college entrance exam. I looked at the shredded paper all over the floor, and instead of getting angry, I laughed. Fine, I'm not taking the blame. I turned around, used going to the bathroom as an excuse, and pulled out my phone to tip off the parents one by one. Half an hour later, mixed doubles beating was being staged outside the door. The school beauty was still screaming, "What are you doing? This is the freedom of our youth." The next second, a loud slap sent her flying directly out. Woo! How could he treat me like this? My heart is broken. Shilly sprawled over her desk, her shoulders shaking violently at the podium. Class monitor Xiaoang stood like a guardian deity, his eyes red-rimmed, and his voice as he announced to the whole class, "Yaya's heart is broken. Do we still have the mood to take exams? The college entrance examination comes every year, but Ya's youth only comes once." He waved his hand grandly and pointed at all of us. "I've decided tomorrow our whole class will not go to the exam site. We're going to use our actions to tell the whole world that Chia's tears are 10,000 times more important than the __ college entrance examination." The classroom was dead silent. Most people lowered their heads, not daring to look at him, nor at Chia. A few of Chua's lackey began to chime in. "Right, we're not taking the exam. For Yaya, nothing matters anymore." I ignored the commotion, keeping my head down as I recited the Chu Sherbao in my mind. Today, the empire is divided into three, and Ezhou is depleted and weakened. This is indeed a critical moment of life and death. Xiao Fang's gaze instantly locked onto me. "Shane Wei." He walked over step by step, his tall shadow completely engulfing me. "You is crying so heartbreakingly, and you're actually still memorizing classical Chinese." There was a suppressed anger in his voice. "Do you have any sense of compassion?" I raised my eyes and looked at him calmly. "What does my compassion have to do with my college entrance exam?" He froze for a moment, as if he hadn't expected me to ask such a direct question back. The people around them let out faint gasps. "What do you mean?" Xiao Fang's face flushed the color of pig liver. "Are you saying your college entrance exam is more important than Ya's pain? What else would it be?" I turned over a page of the documents. "To me, it is." This sentence completely ignited him. "Good. What a sheenie." He laughed in fury, snatching the materials from my hands. "Don't you think the college entrance exam is important?" He raised high that stack of keynotes and mock exam papers I had spent 3 months compiling. "Today, I'm going to let you know what important really means." Rip. The sound of paper tearing shattered beside my ear. The scraps of paper fluttered down like a blizzard of despair. Those were photocopied materials my parents had scrimped and saved for calling in countless favors to buy from a renowned teacher in the city. Every page was densely covered with my annotations and reflections. The few boys behind Xiaoang also crowded over and pulled out all the review materials from my desk and backpack like a group of madmen, carrying out some kind of sacred ritual. They wore fanatical expressions of pleasure as they tore my hard work to pieces. "No one's going to take the exam. We're staying with Yaya. Let Xinwei be the first to know the consequences of betraying Yaya." Shredded paper fell all over my hair and shoulders. I sat in the middle of the ruins, motionless. None of my classmates said a word, and none of them tried to stop it. They only watched. Some had fear in their eyes, some were numb, and others were gloating. Chia's crying slowly died down in the midst of his frenzy. She raised her tear-streaked face and looked at me through blurry, tear-filled eyes, the corners of her mouth curling into an almost imperceptible, triumphant smile. Xiaoang tore up the last book and threw it in my face. "Do you still think the college entrance exam is important now?" he asked me, panting heavily, looking down at me from above. I stood up and gently brushed the paper scraps off my body. "Fine." I said one word. "I'm not memorizing anymore." Xiaoang thought I had backed down, and a look of smug satisfaction appeared on his face. "You're being sensible." I didn't look at him anymore, nor did I look at Chia. I turned around, pushed through the crowd, and walked toward the back door of the classroom. "Where are you going?" Xiaoang asked wearily behind me. Toilet high stress before the exam gave me a bit of an upset stomach. "Is that not allowed?" He probably thought I had been completely crushed already and waved me off in disdain. I walked out of the classroom, closed the door, and cut off everything inside. I didn't go to the bathroom. I walked to the corner of the stairs, that blind spot of the surveillance camera. I took out my old phone from my pocket. The faint glow of the screen illuminated my face. Come to the point of coldness. I opened the contact list and found the first number. Xiaofeng's mother. Then the second one. Zhang He's mother. The third one. Lai Kai's father. Finally, it was Chu Ya's mother. I held the phone to my ear, listening to the beep-beep sound coming from the other end. "Your youth is very precious. Could it be that your parents' youth was just fed to the dogs?" The call connected. "Hello. Who is this?" A lazy female voice came from the other end of the phone with the noisy background sound of a mahjong game. It was Xiaoang's mother. "Hello, Auntie. I'm Xiaofeng's classmate. My name is Shani." "Oh, Shani, I've heard our Ong mention you. You're first in your grade?" "Right. What's the matter?" "Auntie, it's very urgent." I lowered my voice, making it sound like I was speaking in hiding. "We're at evening self-study at school right now, and Xiaofeng, he took a few classmates and tore up all my college entrance exam review materials." "What?" The sound of mahjong on the other end of the line stopped. "Tore up your materials? Why would he do that?" Because Chuya got dumped and was feeling down. Xiaofeng, in order to comfort her, called on the whole class to collectively boycott the exam tomorrow and stay with Chua through her heartbreak. I didn't agree, so he led people to tear up my books, saying that anyone who goes to take the exam is going against Chuya and is everyone's enemy. There was silence on the other end of the line. "What? What did he say?" "Boycotting the exam." "Yes, Auntie. He said he wanted the whole world to know that Chuya's tears are more important than the college entrance exam." "You wretched thing." A shrill roar exploded from the receiver. "That beast. I'll be there right away." The phone was slammed down hard. I dialed the second number expressionlessly. "Hello. Is this Sean He's mother? I'm Shane Wei Kai's father." "Hello. I'm Shane Wei. There's something extremely urgent." I didn't exaggerate because the facts themselves were already crazy enough. The last call was to Chia's mother. It rang for a long time before it was finally answered. "Who is it? Don't you know I'm very busy?" An extremely impatient woman's voice came through with loud music and the clinking of glasses in the background. "Auntie Chu. Hello. I'm Chia's classmate. Shani. Chuya. What happened to her this time? Is she out of money again? Or has she caused trouble again? Auntie Chua is heartbroken and crying at school. Right now, Xiaoang is organizing the whole class to boycott the exam tomorrow for her sake. Brokenhearted. Skipping the exam. The other person snorted over this little __. She can take the exam or not anyway. The family has already arranged a future for her. Even if she scores 0, she can still go abroad. Don't bother me with something this trivial. Is that so? I said softly, but Auntie, this is no longer a minor matter in order to force me to agree to skip the exam. Xiaoang and the others tore up all my study materials. I've already called the police. Call the police. Shua's mother's voice instantly rose. Yes. I continued calmly. The police said this kind of behavior could affect the records of everyone involved, especially the ringleader. I wonder whether schools abroad would care if a student's file included records of intentionally damaging someone else's property and inciting a group incident. I heard a sharp gasp on the other end of the line. You dare. I'm just a student who wants to do well on the college entrance exam. It's your daughter and her friends who are ruining my future. There's nothing I'm afraid to do. Just you wait. She practically gritted out those 3 words before hanging up. After making the last call, I put away my phone and leaned against the cold wall, letting out a long breath. I returned to the doorway of Class 7's classroom. The door was locked from the inside. Xiaofeng's passionate voice came from inside. Brothers, sisters, hand over your phones. No one is allowed to contact the outside world. We must carry this revolution through to the very end. For Yaya, for our youth without regrets. Immediately after came the sound of desks and chairs being knocked over. the cries of a few students who tried to resist, and the fervent cheers of the many others they were handing in their phones, severing their last connection to the outside world. How wonderful this was equivalent to locking themselves in a cage, waiting for the hunter to arrive. I leaned against the wall by the door, closed my eyes, and could even clearly hear the roar of car engines coming from far away, growing nearer and nearer. 1, 2, 3, more and more. Louder and louder. Faster and faster, like an impending storm. Bang! A loud bang. The fragile classroom door was kicked open from the outside. The door slammed into the wall with a deathly groan. A woman wearing a mink coat and covered in dazzling jewels was the first to rush in, still carrying a diamond-studded Hermes bag in her hand. It was Xiaofang's mother. At a glance, she saw her son standing on the podium with his arm raised high, basking in everyone's worship, her face twisted with anger, and flames seemed to shoot from her eyes. Xiaoang! Xiaoang froze, and the fervor on his face instantly turned to terror. Mom! Mom! Why are you here? How did I get here? Xiaofang's mother rushed onto the podium in 3 quick steps, and swinging the Hermes bag in her hand, smashed it hard against Xiaofang's head. I came to collect your corpse for you. The hard metal clasp of the Hermes bag struck Xiaoang squarely on the temple. He cried out in agony and crouched down, clutching his head, but this was only the beginning. At the doorway, a group of parents with ashen faces like an army of vengeance surged in. They were holding all kinds of weapons in their hands. Belts, feather dusters, and coat hangers. Some even grabbed the broom from the hallway. On the way, Jenga, you little bastard, get the hell out here. A burly, middle-aged man unbuckled the 7 Wolves belt from his waist. Liai, you've gone too far. I'll break your legs today. A man in work clothes swung a broom with fierce sweeping force. The entire classroom instantly changed from a youthful rallying assembly into an epic mixed doubles beat-down scene cries. Pleas for mercy, and the dull thuds of belts striking flesh all rang out at once. The guardians of youth, who had just been so arrogant and overbearing, were now fleeing in panic, clutching their heads and crying for their mothers and fathers. The classmates who had previously stood by numbly were so frightened that they shrank into the corner. Trembling all over, I stood at the doorway, calmly watching everything. In the chaos, no one noticed me. Chuya was still lying on the desk, clearly having not yet reacted to this sudden turn of events. She raised her head and looked at the hell on earth before her, her beautiful eyes filled with disbelief. What are you doing? She screamed, her voice overpowering all the den. You vulgar adults! What do you know? She stood up, spread her arms, and tried to use her frail body to protect her knights who were being beaten up. This is our youth. It's our freedom. What right do you have to interfere? A father who was whipping his son with a belt was stunned by her words. Xiaofang's mother also stopped hitting her son with her bag and turned to look at her. Chu! You seemed to feel that her words had taken effect, and a tragic, almost sacred expression appeared on her face. You don't understand. You'll never understand the feeling of loving someone. That heartbroken feeling for that feeling. Let alone the college entrance exam. Even the whole world. We can give up. However, what answered her was not understanding nor retreat. It was a woman. Chuya's mother. She had somehow appeared behind Chua at some point, her face showing no expression at all, her gaze as cold as ice. Finished speaking, she asked coldly. Chuya turned around and seeing her mother froze. Mom! The next second, smack! A crisp, loud slap landed on Chuya's face without warning. The force was so great that it sent her flying, knocking over a desk before she crashed miserably to the ground. Everyone was stunned by this sudden turn of events. Even the ongoing mixed doubles came to a halt. Chua covered the face that was quickly swelling red, staring at her mother in disbelief. You hit me. Hit you. I wish I could kill you, Chuya's mother said in a low voice. But every word was laced with biting coldness. She walked step by step up to her daughter and looked down at her from above. Youth. Freedom. Just for some wild man who came out of nowhere. You're going to ruin yourself and drag so many people down with you. Chuya, how did I never realize before that you're the stupid? Tears welled up in Chua's eyes again. You don't understand at all. He is my everything. You're everything. Chua's mother seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world. She crouched down, grabbed Chua by the hair, and forced her to look up at her. Your everything is that blonde-haired punk who keeps you as a backup, sweet-talks you while taking the luxury watch you gave him to curry favor with a rich girl. Chuya's pupils shrank sharply. No, that's not true. You're lying. He loves me. Love. Chuya's mother pulled a stack of photos from her bag and slapped them onto Chuya's face. Look for yourself. See how much he loves you. This is a bag he bought with that girl while shopping yesterday, and he charged it to your card. This is a photo of them kissing at the hotel entrance today. You're ready to live and die for him, and he treats you like a joke. Like a walking ATM. Photos were scattered all over the floor. Looking at those obscene images, she began to tremble violently, the color draining completely from her face. No, impossible. This isn't real. She muttered to herself as if she had gone mad. Chuya's mother stood up, her face showing no sympathy at all. Idiot! She coldly spat out the 2 words, then turned to look at me, her gaze sharp as a blade. Chuya, starting today, all your cards are frozen. After the college entrance exam, you're to get your ass straight to the farm in Australia. Don't come back until the water in your brain has drained out. After saying that, she didn't spare her daughter on the floor. Another glance. Turning around, she walked away in high heels without looking back. The entire classroom was left with only Chuya's desperate, heart-wrenching cries. This time, no one stopped for her tears anymore. At that moment, my homeroom teacher, Teacher Wang, finally appeared at the doorway. Belatedly, he looked at the mess in the classroom and the group of parents who were teaching their children a lesson, his face full of shock and bewilderment. What's going on? Xiaopang's mother stopped hitting him. She straightened her slightly disheveled mink coat and walked up to Teacher Wang. Her face no longer held the madness from before. In its place was a cold, unquestionable authority. Teacher Wang, my son has caused you trouble. As she spoke, her gaze turned to me. But as for how this matter started, I'm afraid you'll need to investigate it carefully as well. She pointed at me and said to Teacher Wang, why has the entire class been bewitched by Chuya while only she is perfectly fine? One hand can TT clap by itself if she hadn't said something provocative. How could our Ong, such an honest child, have torn up her books, as expected? Here it came turning black and white upside down and deliberately confusing the truth. Teacher Wang was clearly frightened by the scene. He looked at me, then at Xiaofang's mother, and for a moment was at a loss for words. Teacher Wang, Xiaofang's mother interrupted him, her tone growing heavier. The sponsorship our family gives the school every year is not a small sum. I hope the school can handle this matter fairly and impartially, give my son an explanation, and give all the parents here an explanation as well. Teacher Wang adjusted his glasses, and fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He looked at me, his eyes full of embarrassment. Shane Wei, Yu Xiaopang's mother sneered and folded her arms, looking completely confident of victory. Mr. Wang, don't jump to conclusions. Our phone was impulsive, and he did make a mistake, but it takes 2 to tango. She walked up to me, the perfume on her body so strong it was pungent. What did you say in front of the whole class to provoke him into becoming like this? Did you start the provocation first? Did you look down on him just because you're good at studying? Every word she said was like a bucket of filthy water, trying to completely blacken me. The other parents also began whispering, and their gazes toward me turned unfriendly. Yeah, my child is usually very well behaved. She must have spoken to the little girl in such a nasty way. I stood at the center of a storm, yet I was unusually calm. I looked at Xiaofang's mother and said each word clearly. Mrs. Xiao, you're right. Everyone froze, including her. One hand alone can't clap. I looked around, my gaze passing over the classmates with their heads bowed and over the wavering parents. But the one who slapped hands with Xiao Fang over this was not me. My voice was not loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. It was Chuya. It was the madness of no college entrance exam for the sake of youth. It is everyone here, and the indulgence and silence in the face of this madness. This is the other slap that rang out against Xiaoang. The classroom fell into dead silence. Xiaofang's mother's expression changed for the first time. I turned back and looked her straight in the eyes. You asked me whether I provoked him. I was sitting in my own seat, quietly memorizing my lessons. That behavior provoked him. I didn't go crazy along with him. That behavior provoked him in an environment where everyone has gone crazy. The mere existence of a normal person is in itself a provocation. Xiaopeng's mother's lips trembled, but she could not say a single word. You're still asking whether I provoked him. May I ask how I provoked him? Did I tell him which line from the Chu Bao was going to be on the test? Or is it also considered provocation that I asked him not to tear up the review materials my parents spent money on? If even a student's most basic right to learn is to be defined as provocation, then this world is simply far too ridiculous. I looked at our homeroom teacher. Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang. The door was locked just now, and Xiao Fang led the way in confiscating everyone's phones. Did you know that? Mr. Wang shook his head in confusion. The reason I'm calling all the parents is not to complain. My voice suddenly rose. I'm calling for help because I don't know what crazier thing they might do next. I don't know whether my personal safety can be guaranteed. The two words, help, hit every parent's heart like a heavy hammer. Their expressions changed instantly. What had started as a verbal dispute among students had turned into unlawful confinement and a potential threat of violence. Xiao Fang's mother's face had already turned as white as paper. I looked at the parents who had just been echoing her and finally said, Uncels and aunts, I just want to take tomorrow's college entrance examination peacefully. Your children are the same now because of a ridiculous farce. They had nearly ruined 12 years of their own hard work. If the school were to hold them accountable for taking the lead in inciting a boycott of the exam, for taking the lead in damaging classmates' property, and for taking the lead in isolating and threatening their classmates, what kind of punishment would that be? Would that punishment go on their record and follow them for the rest of their lives? Was it worth it? For Chua's so-called youth. With every question I asked, the parents' expressions grew a little uglier, looking at their disappointing children. A renewed anger blazed in their eyes. Xiao Fang's mother was completely isolated and helpless. She looked at me, and there was no longer any arrogance in her eyes. Only venomous resentment. You're impressive. She squeezed a few words through her teeth. Little girl, you really are impressive. But remember this. The college entrance exam isn't just those few hours in the exam room. The road ahead is still long. Xiao Fang's mother's threat hung in the air like a cold thorn. Teacher Wang finally reacted. He cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the situation. Enough! Stop talking, all of you. He shouted loudly. Mrs. Xiaopeng's mother, I understand how you feel, but what Shanewei said makes sense. 2. What's most important right now is tomorrow's exam. All students, go home immediately. Get some good rest. No one is allowed to mention what happened tonight again. He almost shoved and pushed the parents and students out. A farce had finally been forcibly brought to an end on the eve of the exam. I silently crouched down and began cleaning up the scraps of paper on the floor. Those pieces of paper that had once carried my hopes were now nothing more than a pile of cold trash. Teacher Wang walked over, sighed, and patted me on the shoulder. Shane, you've been wronged. I also have a spare set of mock exam questions here. Take them back and cram at the last minute. I took the stack of brand new test papers and softly said, Thank you, teacher. I didn't look at Chua and I didn't look at Xiaoang. They were dragged out of the classroom by their respective parents like dead dogs. I carried my empty backpack and walked home alone. The street light stretched my shadow long. A black Mercedes slowly stopped beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Xiaopeng's mother's well-maintained face. Now, filled with a cold, sinister expression. Get in the car, she ordered. I stood still without moving. I want to talk to you. Her tone softened a little, but it still carried an air of refusal impossible to ignore. There's nothing to talk about, I replied calmly. Shane Wei. She called my name. You're a smart child. You should know that going against our Xiao family never ends well. I'll give you a chance tomorrow, as long as you get stomach pain or dizziness, or simply show up late in the exam room. In short, as long as you don't do well on the exam, I can guarantee you a sum of money enough for you to retake the year or even study abroad. I looked at her as if I were looking at a monster. Madame Xiao, in your eyes, can everything be measured in money? Her expression darkened. Don't be so ungrateful. My son is going to get a severe beating tonight because of you. How could he be in a good mood? And if he's not in a good mood, how can he do well on tomorrow's exam if his future is ruined? Don't even think your future will be safe either. I smiled. Perfect. I'd actually like to see how you people of the Xiao family are going to keep me from doing well. After speaking, I ignored her and turned to leave. The car door behind me slammed shut with a heavy thud, and the engine let out an angry roar before speeding off in a cloud of dust. When I got home, I locked myself in my room. I didn't look at the set of questions Mr. Wang gave me. I knew that Xiao Fang's mother's threat was not an empty one. She wouldn't use any elaborate tactics. The simplest and most direct way to deal with a student like me who has no power or influence was violence, or at the entrance to the exam hall stage an accident. Make me late and keep me from entering the exam hall. This was the only thing they could do, and the most likely thing they would do. I sat at my desk and spread out a sheet of white paper. My mind raced as I thought of countermeasures. Call the police. Useless. Nothing had happened yet, and they could say I was imagining things. Look for a teacher. Even a teacher is powerless. I can only rely on myself. What is Xiaowang's weakness? Is it his rich but foolish mother? No. Is it his father, whom I've only seen once at a parents' meeting? Quiet and reticent, but with a sharp gaze. I remember very clearly that at that parent-teacher meeting, Xiaopang's father only said one sentence. My unworthy son has behaved badly and caused trouble for the teacher. I'll definitely discipline him strictly when we get home. In his eyes, there was none of Xiaopang's mother's doing indulgence, only an unquestionable authority. A man who built his family fortune through his own hard work would never tolerate his heir being a fool who would give up his future over a woman. I found Xiao Fang's father's phone number. I had saved it back then specifically, so I could easily contact the class representatives for each subject. I typed out a text message. Uncle Xiao. Hello. I'm Shani. I'm very sorry to bother you so suddenly tomorrow morning at 7:30 at the entrance of the No One High School exam site. Your son Xiaowang is preparing to ruin both his own life and mine for the sake of a girl. I'm just a helpless student, and I have no other way. So I can only tell you about this. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you. No accusations. No complaints. Only a statement and a plea for help from a student pushed to the brink. I used the words helpless just right. Then I turned off my phone and went asleep. Tomorrow there will be a good show. The next morning, the sunlight was lovely. I got up half an hour earlier than usual, calmly ate breakfast, and checked my admission ticket and stationery. Seeing how calm I looked, my mom was a little worried. Vivi, what on earth happened at school last night? Your teacher Wang called and was being vague. Nothing. Mom, it was just a minor dispute, and it's all been resolved. I gave her a reassuring smile, slung my backpack over my shoulder and headed out the door. I didn't go straight to the exam site. I made a detour, went through the alley behind the exam site, and climbed up to the rooftop of a residential building across the street. From here, I could take in the entire scene in front of the exam site at a glance. 7:15 a.m. A familiar black Mercedes pulled up across the road. Several people got out of the car. Xiaowang along with the boys who had torn up the books yesterday, with cigarettes in their mouths. They leaned against the wall, their eyes scanning the crowd for something with an unfriendly look on Xiao Fang's face. There were still faint fingerprints. It seems that last night was not a pleasant one for him in his eyes. In addition to his usual arrogance, there was now even more of a viciousness born of utter despair and self-destruction. I took out my phone and turned it on. No reply. Xiao Fang's father did not reply to my text message. My heart sank slightly. Could it be that I had made the wrong bet? I looked at the time. 7:25. The examinees had already begun entering the venue. One after another. Can't wait any longer. I came down from the rooftop, straightened my clothes, took a deep breath, and walked toward the entrance of the exam center. The moment I appeared, Xiao Fang's eyes lit up at once. He stubbed out his cigarette, and with a few of his lackeys, walked over to me. They lined up in front of me, blocking my way. The candidates and parents around them all cast curious looks. Shanwei Xiaowang spoke his voice. My mom said that I should properly see you off today. I looked at him expressionless. Step aside. Move aside. He laughed, and it was an ugly laugh. If I let you into this exam room today, I won't be surnamed Xiao. I won't hit you and I won't curse you either. He spread his hands looking every bit like a rogue. I'll just chat with you here until 8:45. How about that? According to the college entrance exam rules, candidates are not allowed to enter the venue within 15 minutes before the exam. His plan was extremely shrewd. I raised my hand and looked at my watch. 7:32. There was still plenty of time. Xiaoang, are you really going to gamble your whole life on one woman? I asked him. Shut the hell up. He was like a cat with its tail stepped on, instantly flying into a rage. I'm willing to. What's it to you? I can't control that. I nodded, and then my gaze went past his shoulder toward the place not far behind him. But he can. Xiaofang froze for a moment. What do you mean? Playing tricks and acting mysterious. He didn't finish his sentence because he followed my gaze and slowly turned his head back. Across the street, a black Audi A8 was parked there. At some point by the car door stood a tall, stern-faced, middle-aged man. It was his father, Xiao Dihai. The blood drained from Xiao Fang's face in an instant. His body began to tremble and his lips quivered, but he could not utter a single word. Dad! Xiao He waved to him. Xiao Fang walked stiffly, one step at a time, toward his father. The few lackeys behind him were already scared out of their wits, wishing they could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Xiao Dihai ignored them. His gaze remained fixed on his son the entire time. When Xiao Fang came up to him, he raised his hand not to hit him and not to scold him either. He only gently straightened his son's somewhat disheveled collar. Then, in a voice so calm it was terrifying, he said, "Come home with me. Your college entrance exam is over." I turned around facing the rising sun and walked toward the exam hall. As I entered the exam hall, the familiar smell of disinfectant eased my tense nerves a little. The first exam was Chinese. I received the test paper and glanced over the essay topic, talking about rules and human feelings. This topic was practically tailor-made for me. I picked up my pen and ideas flowed like a fountain. I turned the farce in the classroom, the ugly faces of Xiao Fang's family, and Chu Ya's stupidity into material for my writing. Rules are the bottom line. Human sentiment is hypocrisy. My pen flowed as if guided by a divine hand, and I finished the entire exam paper half an hour early. The next few exams passed without incident. When the bell rang to mark the end of the college entrance exam, I let out a long breath, walking out of the exam room. The sunlight was blinding. I saw my mom anxiously looking around at the school gate, and when she saw me, she immediately came up to me. "Bevan, how did it go?" Just as expected. I smiled. What I didn't say was that I had actually performed above my usual level. Freed from all pressure, I was more focused than ever before. On the way home, my mom hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. When Xiao Fang's mother came to see me today, my heart tightened. What did she say? She gave me a bank card. My mom took a bank card out of her bag and stuffed it into my hand. She said there's 200,000 yuan in it. The password is your birthday. She said it was because Xiao Fang was being inconsiderate and she's apologizing to you. I looked at the card and let out a cold laugh. An apology? This was hush money. After Xiao Fang was taken away by his father, he never appeared in the exam hall again. His college entrance exam this year was completely ruined. Xiao Fang's mother was afraid I would make a scene and affect their family's business. What else did she say? I asked. My mom's expression was a little unpleasant. She said, "Our family should let people off when we can." She said Xiaoang has already been locked up by his father and has learned his lesson. She also said that since we'll all be living in the same city from now on, we'll be seeing each other all the time, so we shouldn't leave things too far gone. Mom, what are you thinking? I looked at her. My mom sighed. Wei Mom knows you've been wronged, but 200,000 yuan is enough to cover your 4 years of college tuition and living expenses. You know our family situation. Mom, I interrupted her. We can't take this money. Why? My mom said anxiously. They're the ones in the wrong. We can take it with a clear conscience. It's not about being in the wrong. I looked at the street scenery, speeding past outside the car window. My gaze icy. This is a transaction. She used 200,000 yuan to buy my silence, to buy my compromise. If I accept it, it would be the same as admitting that the information they tore up, my dignity, and the future they nearly destroyed are only worth 200. More importantly, they would think that I, Shane Wei, and our Shin family can be bought with money. In the future, they'll only look down on us even more and become even more brazen. My mother fell silent. I pushed the card back into her hand. Mom, give her the card back. Tell her that although our family is poor, we don't lack this bit of backbone. This matter is not over. Returning home, I turned on the computer and logged into the largest local forum. Then, using a newly registered sock puppet account, I started typing. The title was, "The Night Before the College Entrance Exam for a Tear from the School Beauty." My son gave up the exam. Please, Judge, should I break his legs? In the tone of a heartbroken mother, I vividly recounted the whole story, from Chu Ya's breakup to Xiao Fang leading the others and tearing up their books and refusing to take the exam from the parents. Combined double beating to Chu Ya's mother publicly exposing the true face of the blonde-haired punk. I omitted everyone's real names and used only aliases like Student Z and Campus Beauty C, but the school name, class, time, and place were all written clearly for people in the city. It would not be hard to guess who the people involved were. I didn't add any subjective commentary. I simply stated the facts objectively because I know that the truth itself is more powerful than any insult. After writing the last word, I clicked send. Then I shut down the computer, took out the estimated score sheet, and began calmly estimating my own score. It takes time for public opinion to ferment. As for me, I only need to waiting for a day of judgment that will make everyone pay the price. The estimated score came out 708 points. With this score, getting into the best universities in the country is a sure thing. I put away the estimate sheet, my heart calm. Over the next few days, I lived an unusually leisurely life, reading, running, helping my mom with some housework. I didn't log into that forum once, like a patient hunter who, after setting a trap, quietly leaves and waits for the prey to walk into it on its own. My mom ultimately returned that card. It was said that Xiao Fang's mom's face turned darker than the bottom of a pot at the time. The class Wechathat group was dead silent. No one talked about the college entrance exam. And no one talked about the future. What happened that night hung over everyone's hearts like a dark cloud. Finally, on the day before the college entrance, exam results were announced. I received a call from my homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. His voice sounded utterly exhausted. "Shane Wei, come to the school. Is something wrong? Teacher Wang, once you get here, you'll know the school leaders, and a few parents all want to see you." I hung up the phone, knowing that what should come had, in the end, still come. I walked into the school's administrative conference room. The room was full of people. The principal, the head of teaching, and Mr. Wang. There were also a few faces I both knew and didn't know. Xiao Fang's mother, Chuya's mother, and the parents of several other students who had taken part in tearing up the books. Their faces all carried a suppressed anger and unease. When they saw me come in, Xiao Fang's mother was the first to stand up. "Shane Wei was that post on the forum posted by you." Her voice was shrill as if it were about to pierce my eardrums. I ignored her and walked straight up to the principal, bowing. "Hello, principal. Hello, director." The principal was a man in his 50s with thinning hair. He adjusted his glasses and motioned for me to sit down. "Student Shane Wei, please take a seat first." His tone was fairly gentle. "I asked you here today to verify something with you." He pushed his phone toward me. The screen was showing the post that had already gone viral. The post had already received more than 500,000 views and over 1,000 replies. There was a flood of criticism. ZCL classmate was mocked as brainless C-school beauty as a green tea ___, and the school was criticized for poor management. Our school had already become the laughingstock of the entire city. "Did you write this post?" the principal asked solemnly. "I wrote it," I admitted calmly. A collective intake of cold breath sounded in the conference room. Xiaoping's mother, as if she had found an outlet for her anger, immediately pointed at me and shouted to the principal. "Principal, did you hear that?" She admitted it. "This is slander. It's spreading rumors. It has seriously damaged my son's reputation. And it has also damaged the school's reputation. I demand that the school expel her immediately and reserve the right to pursue her legal responsibility." Chua's mother also spoke coldly. "Shane, I originally thought you were a smart child. I never expected your methods to be so despicable. using public opinion to attack a classmate. Aren't you afraid of retribution? I looked at them and suddenly laughed. Mrs. Xiao and Chu, have you mistaken something? I didn't spread rumors, and I didn't defame anyone. Every word written in the post is true. If you think I have damaged your children's reputations, my gaze turned sharp. Then let me ask you, when your children tore up my books and forced me to give up my exams, did they ever think that they were damaging my reputation and ruining my future? As for retribution, I looked at Chu Ya's mother. All I know is that good is rewarded with good and evil with evil. Isn't Chu Ya's retribution already here? Chu's mother's face instantly turned deathly pale. The principal frowned and tapped the table. Everyone say a little less student way, even if what the post says is true. You shouldn't have handled the problem this way. Do you know how much negative impact this incident has caused the school? The Education Bureau's phone calls came straight to me this morning. I know, I replied calmly, but principal, if I hadn't done this, who do you think would be sitting here today? It would be me and my parents. And you would have asked me for the sake of the school's reputation for the so-called classmate. Bond to forgive them, to accept their apology. Even worse, they would ask me to accept that 200,000 yuan compensation and then keep this matter buried in my stomach forever. Principal, tell me, am I right? The principal opened his mouth, but not a single word came out because he knew that what I said was the truth. The meeting room fell into a deathly silence. I stood up. I came here today not to stand trial. I came here to make my demands. I looked at everyone present and said word by word. First, all the students who participated in tearing up my study materials and threatened me must publicly apologize to me at a school-wide assembly. Second, the school must deal with them seriously, place the matter in their records, and show absolutely no leniency. Third, Shirao Fang's mother, Chia's mother, and all the parents present must publish an apology letter in the local newspaper to clarify the facts and restore my reputation. If the above 3 points cannot be met, I paused, took out my phone, and opened an audio file. That night, the words Shirao Fang's mother had used to threaten me in the car came through clearly. If his future is ruined, don't even think about having a future of your own. Xiao Fang's mother's face instantly drained of all color. Then, I don't mind making more facts public. For example, threatening a candidate and intending to manipulate the exam results. Does that count as a crime? Xiaopang's mother slumped in her chair, her gaze unfocused. The principal and the dean's expressions looked even worse than if they had swallowed a fly. Conflicts among students can be handled internally, but once a parent's threat is exposed, the nature of the matter changes completely. It would become a scandal that would shock the entire city. Yu Xiaopang's mother pointed at me, her finger trembling like leaves in the autumn wind. You actually recorded it. There's nothing I can do. I put away my phone and looked at her calmly. People like you always like to go back on their word. I'm just an ordinary student, so I can only use a clumsy method to protect myself. Principal. I no longer paid her any mind and turned toward the seat at the head of the conference table. Did you hear my demands clearly? The principal's forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he kept wiping it with a handkerchief. He looked at me, then at those few distraught parents. Weighing the pros and cons had never been a difficult thing for him. Classmate Shani, please calm down first. He forced out a smile. The school will definitely give you a satisfactory answer to this matter. He turned to those parents, and his tone grew stern. Parents, the sequence of events is already very clear to us. Student Shane's request is entirely reasonable. I hope you can actively cooperate with the school's work and calm this matter down as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Those words were in effect a death sentence for them. Xiaopang's mother wanted to say something more, but Chia's mother grabbed her by the arm. Chia's mother gave me a deep look, her expression complicated. There was resentment, unwillingness, but more than that, a weary sense of helplessness, beyond any hope of reversal. She stood up and gave a slight bow to me and to the principal as well. I'm sorry. It was our fault for failing to teach our son properly. We accept all of Shaniai's requests. A tense negotiation ended with my complete victory. Leaving the conference room, the sunlight outside was just right. Teacher Wang came chasing after me. He looked at me as if he had something to say, but held back. Shani, Teacher Wang, thank you. I interrupted him. Thank you for still being willing to give me a test paper when I was going through the hardest time. Although I didn't look at that set of papers. I've taken this kindness to heart. Teacher Wang sighed. You child. You're too stubborn. Too much hardness easily breaks. Teacher. I looked at him and said earnestly, if I hadn't fought back, the one who would be broken right now would be me. Teacher Wang fell silent. In the end, he only patted my shoulder and turned to leave. The next day, the college entrance exam results were officially released. After checking my score, I put my phone on the desk. 708 points. Exactly the same as the estimated score. Top science score in the province. My mom looked at that score and cried. She cried like a child. My father, this inarticulate man, also had red-rimmed eyes and kept pacing around the room. I called the admissions office at Jing University. The teacher on the other end of the line was overflowing with enthusiasm. They promised me the best major and the highest scholarship, and our school principal also called right away on the phone. He was full of enthusiasm, showering me with praise. It was as if the person in the conference room the day before, the one who had lashed out at me, was not him at all. He said the school would hold a celebration for me, put up banners, and invite reporters. I politely declined. I told him that I had only one request. I asked him to fulfill his promise as soon as possible. The principal readily agreed on the other end of the phone. 3 days later, the school held its final all-school assembly of the semester. Under the gaze of thousands of teachers and students, Chuya, along with the several boys who had taken part in tearing up the books, stood in a line beneath the national flag. Each of them held a written self-criticism in their hands. Their faces were pale and their eyes kept darting away. The dean of students in a grave tone read out the school's disciplinary decision. A major demerit, probation from the school, and a record entered into their files. Then they took turns reading their self-criticism statements and apologizing to me in public. Chia's voice was choked with tears, and none of her former pride remained. Below the stage, there was dead silence. I stood in the crowd watching all this with no expression on my face. I felt no pleasure and no sense of having avenged myself. I just felt that at last the sky had finally cleared after the gathering ended. The local evening paper also published a small apology letter. In the letter, several parents expressed their sincerest apologies for the harm their poor upbringing of their children had caused the female student surnamed Shen. Although the wording was vague, black and white on paper, it had nevertheless left its mark. The train bound for Beijing was moving smoothly along the tracks. I was sitting by the window, watching the fields and villages outside the window recede rapidly. My parents had accompanied me all the way to the platform, and even after the train started moving, they were still standing there, waving hard. My mother's eyes were red again. I smiled and waved at them until their figures were no longer visible. I leaned back in my chair and took a book out of my bag. It was a monograph by that economics professor at Peking University. The pages were brand new, giving off the fresh scent of printers. Ink. I turned to the first page and began reading quietly. Around me were the conversations of passengers, the laughter and frolicking of children, and the clack-clack sound of the train. In motion, these sounds blended into a symphony full of the warmth of everyday life. Yet, they could not disturb me in the slightest. At that moment, my world was more peaceful and focused than ever before. I no longer need to prove anything to anyone, nor do I need to fight anyone anymore. My future battlefield lies in a wider world. What I will face is the ocean of knowledge, the collision of ideas, in a contest with the finest minds of this era. That would be a war that was more difficult, but also more exciting. The train passed through a long tunnel. At first, there was only darkness before my eyes, and then suddenly everything opened up. Bright sunlight poured in without reservation, shining on the pages of the book in my hands. I lifted my head and looked out the window. In the distance were rolling mountains and an endless blue sky. I knew that my life had only just begun. With my own 2 hands, I had earned this ticket to the future, and the final destination of this train would certainly not be Beijing. It would take me anywhere I wanted to go. The world outside the window turned into flowing light and shadows in my eyes. I didn't look back. Ahead of me lies a vast expanse of stars and seas. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Next, There is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My best friend is stunningly beautiful and often fantasizes about being noticed by a wealthy man so she can become a carefree rich wife. Because of this, she often dresses in revealing clothes to deliver takeout in upscale residential areas and villa communities. In my previous life, I worried that my best friend might attract the wrong kind of attention and advised her to focus on more serious pursuits. She took my advice and stopped unexpectedly. Not long after, news broke online about the most beautiful delivery girl marrying the son of the wealthiest man in the country. When my best friend found out, she was both furious and regretful, believing that I had caused her to miss this opportunity. But what she didn't know was that the most beautiful delivery girl was actually a top student from a prestigious university who took on delivery work to support her family during difficult times. The wealthy man was impressed by her intellect and chose her to be his daughter-in-law. My best friend wouldn't listen to my explanation and accidentally stabbed me to death during our argument. Given a second chance at life, I decided not to interfere with her life anymore. Gasping for breath, I woke up from my nap on the living room sofa, the sharp fruit knife still feeling as if it were plunged into my chest outside. The sun was setting. Glancing at my phone, I saw it displayed a date from a year ago. I knew I had been reborn, seeing me sitting dazed on the sofa. My best friend, who had just changed into a provocative outfit and emerged from her room, sneered and confronted me. "You have 2 days to move out. I don't want to see you ever again." I watched my best friend dressed in a tight purple bodycon mini skirt and seductive black stockings. And as she hurled insults at me, I knew she had also been reborn. Without hesitation, I nodded decisively, seeing that I was being sensible. My best friend ignored me further, snorted coldly, and walked out the door. My best friend and I became close friends in high school and later attended the same university. At first, she maintained the diligence from her high school days and even earned a scholarship in her first year of college. However, after seeing many female classmates living comfortably by attaching themselves to wealthy men, she gradually slacked off and shifted her focus to dressing herself up. In college, my best friend also dated a few wealthy boyfriends thanks to her stunning looks. But none of the relationships lasted long. However, this fueled her ambition. My best friend's parents passed away early, leaving her only a modest inheritance and a property. I felt sorry for her, so I often advised her not to make the wrong choices, just as my parents had taught me. But I never expected that this would become my own death warrant. My best friend had long resented me for constantly interfering with her decisions. And what happened in my previous life was simply the moment she finally snapped after being reborn. I no longer want to meddle in her affairs. I just want to take care of myself. After all, everyone has their own karma, and interfering in others' matters means bearing the consequences of their actions. I sat in silence for half an hour, and after thinking everything through, I packed my things and moved out of my best friend's apartment overnight, spending the night in a hotel with 2 large suitcases in tow. The next day, I contacted my local roommate, Arun, and asked her to help me look for a suitable rental so I could secure a place to live first. Although I hadn't found a job yet, my parents had started a small business back home and had some savings. So I called my mom to ask for money. "Hello, Minghua. What's up?" Hearing my mother's gentle voice on the other end of the line, my eyes welled up with tears. I haven't been home since graduating from college, so including the time from my previous life, it's been almost a year since I last saw my parents, especially after experiencing death once. I feel quite aggrieved and miss them deeply. "Hello, Mom." Not hearing my voice for a while, spoke again with some confusion. "I'm fine, Mom. It's just that I need to rent a place now and I don't have enough money. I wanted to ask you for some." Tears streamed down my face. My voice choked up, but I still tried to sound cheerful as I spoke to her. Mom keenly noticed something off in my voice. "What's wrong? Minghua, are you facing any difficulties? Has someone been bullying you?" Seeing that my mother had seen through me, I stopped pretending and burst into tears. "It's nothing, Mom. I just had a falling out with my good friend, Lin Ling, and I'm a bit upset. Don't worry about me, Mom." "Oh, I see. It's okay, Minghua. You still have me and your dad. You can always talk to us if something is bothering you." My mother comforted me gently. Tell Mingwa to come home. Even if she doesn't find a job, we can support her for the rest of her life. Why should she make things hard for herself out there? My father's rough voice came from the other end of the phone. What are you talking about? It's a good thing Mingwa has her own ideas. Do you want your daughter to become a useless little good-for-nothing? Mom scolded Dad, and Dad let out a simple, honest laugh. I just didn't think that much about it. I just didn't want my daughter to suffer. Hearing my parents' interaction, tears poured out like a broken dam. I am their only daughter, and I don't know how they felt when they learned of my death in my previous life. Even if it's just for my parents, I have to take good care of myself and protect myself. All right, that's enough. Mingwa, Mom will transfer the money to you in a little while. Someone is delivering goods right now, and your dad can't handle it alone, so I need to go help. Okay, bye. Mom, be careful. Goodbye. Mingwa, call me when you have time. With that, my mom hung up the phone. I stared at my phone, lost in thought for a long while. Soon after, a text message came in. My bank card had received a deposit of 100,000 yuan. At that moment, my roommate Arun also sent a message saying she had found a place for me and negotiated the price. I could move in today. So, I immediately grabbed my suitcase, held a taxi, and headed to the address Arun had given me unexpectedly. The building of this apartment was right across from my best friend's building. No wonder the address looked so familiar. I signed the 1-year contract without hesitation. Yuran even helped me negotiate the price down from 42,000 to 36,000. She truly lives up to the title of economist. Yuran's family is quite wealthy, but she grew up living with her grandmother and learned her grandmother's absolute control over money usage. Things can be expensive, but they must be worth it. After the agent handed me the keys, Yuran helped me organize my belongings. What's wrong? Weren't you living with your best friend? Why did you suddenly move out? Are you no longer going to be her good nanny? Yuran was being a bit sarcastic, but I knew she meant no harm. She was just teasing me. I misjudged people. I thought I was being good to them, but who knows what they really think of me. We've fallen out, and I'll never help clean up their messes again. It's good that you've fallen out. I could tell long ago that this friend of yours wasn't a good person, always bossing you around and constantly coming to our dorm to take your things without asking. Yet, you seemed to enjoy it. So, we didn't feel we could say anything. Yuran seemed genuinely happy, as if I had achieved something great. This is what a true friend is. Someone who genuinely wants the best for you because of my kindness. My best friend, Lin Ling, always bosses me around. Deep down, I feel sorry for her being all alone, so I willingly help her. But that doesn't give her the right to take advantage of me in my past life. I really wanted to make a name for myself in the big city, but this time I don't. It's not a bad idea to go back home and take it easy, helping my parents with more things. Much better than taking care of this ungrateful person. However, before going home, I want to see with my own eyes what happens to Lin Ling to see if she really will catch the eye of a wealthy man and rise to success. After packing up my things, Yuran offered to treat me to a meal to celebrate my finally seeing Lin Ling for who she is. And she also called and invited our other 2 roommates, Chin Yu and Xiaoying Meng, who hadn't left the city yet. We went together and had a great hot pot meal. At the dinner table, Yuran told O and Meng about my situation. Both O and Meng were very happy as they had long seen through Lin Lang's true nature and felt I deserved better. I shared my thoughts, and all 3 of them were very supportive. They also wanted to see how Lin Lang would end up and told me to let them know if I needed any help. I was deeply moved. Although I lost Lin Ling, my sincerity and kindness brought me together with more sincere and kind-hearted people. On the way back to the neighborhood, I happened to run into Lin Ling, who was about to go out to deliver takeout. I stood in the shadow of a tree under the street light, and she didn't notice me. Today, she was wearing a strapless pink puff dress that was quite revealing. Her helmet was adorned with fluffy pink fox ears, and a large bow was tied at the back, making her look like a carefully prepared gift for someone else. I have to admit, Lin Ling is indeed good-looking with an excellent figure, but her intentions are misguided. Acting this way will surely lead to a bad outcome. In the following days, I saw Lin Ling coming out wearing different sexy dresses from upstairs, full of fighting spirit. She slept during the day and stayed out all night without showing any signs of fatigue. A month had passed, and Lin Ling had made no progress whatsoever. I could see she was getting discouraged, as she hadn't come out for several days. Just when I thought she was about to give up, I unexpectedly came across her account on a short video app. Lin Ling was filming herself, delivering food. Thanks to her good looks and bold outfits, she had already gained 3 million followers. She had hired a water army to boost her popularity, praising herself as the most beautiful delivery person. There were also candid shots taken by passers-by, all of which highlighted her external advantages. So, she had found a new way to avoid the exhaustion of running around every day. Now, she no longer went out at night, but instead stayed home to livestream, though she dressed more modestly for that. I switched to my alternate account and entered the livestream. After watching for a while, I understood Lin Ling had finally realized that relying solely on her looks wouldn't work. Now, she was live streaming to explain problems to people, showcasing her knowledge. So she had actually listened to what I said in my past life. Then why did she treat me that way? Although Lin Ling didn't study very hard in college, she still had a solid foundation from high school. So explaining a few problems to others was no issue at all. As a result, Lin Ling gained even more followers. She posted beautiful photos during the day and live-streamed problem-solving sessions at night, even trending on social media. At one point, this time the hashtag most beautiful delivery girl finally belonged to her that night. After finishing her live stream, she suddenly sent me a message. I hadn't deleted her contact information because I wanted to see if she would truly reach the peak of her life. She probably wanted to show off to me or tell me that her decision was right, which is why she hadn't deleted me either. Li Minghua, you must have seen the trending topic too. Right. I'm telling you, I will definitely be the one who catches the eye of a wealthy person in this lifetime. Don't even think about stopping me again. Not replying to someone's message is impolite. So, of course, I'll wish her well. I saw it. Wishing you success. She didn't reply to me again, probably satisfied with my compliance. But I know she's likely not far from falling into the abyss. If Lin Ling were content with making money from live streaming now, with so many fans and a few advertisements, she could easily earn a fortune. However, she is obsessed with marrying a wealthy man, which is destined to lead to no good outcome. Relying on others is never as reliable as relying on oneself. Not long after, Lin Ling stopped live streaming just as I was wondering why I came across her whereabouts on my social media feed. Finally, I found you, my Prince Charming. Below this sentence were several pictures that looked very exquisite. It looks like it's at the rooftop garden restaurant. Lin Ling is wearing an evening gown that appears to be quite expensive along with pricey jewelry. And she's dancing with a man, though his face isn't visible. Could it be that she really ran into him? I sent those few pictures to you. Ran. Not long after, Urun replied to me. The prices at this restaurant are quite affordable. The evening gown is a knockoff, and the jewelry is fake. If the clothes and jewelry were real, they wouldn't have chosen to dine here. Lin Ling posted these pictures to show off, so she made sure to capture the details of what she was wearing very clearly. Little did she expect that Yuran would see through it at a glance. I replied with an I got it emoji. Lin Ling has always lived a frugal and hard life, so it's normal that she can't tell these things. I just don't know why she trusts this man so much during this period. I haven't seen Lin Ling coming in and out of this neighborhood, but her social media updates frequently showing off the various designer bags and clothes her boyfriend bought for her. While I was scrolling through, I didn't expect Lin Ling to send me another message. There were 2 pictures, one of her hand wearing a diamond ring as big as a pigeon egg, and another of her and that man in Western-style wedding attire. Li Minghua, look, I succeeded. If it weren't for you, I should have lived this kind of life in my previous life. 2. It's all your fault, and you even made me bear the charge of murder. Now it's my fault again. I still remember in my previous life when she pointed a knife at me. She said it was all because I was jealous of her beauty. So, I kept suppressing her, saying I was mentally controlling her. But it really is my fault. I shouldn't have meddled in her affairs. I guess I deserved it in my previous life. I didn't reply to her and save those 2 pictures. Let's see if you've really succeeded. The next day, I directly asked, You ran out to hang out. I've been staying in my room almost all this time and was about to suffocate. Once things with Lin Ling are settled, I'm going to travel for a while. What's going on? Is there news about Lin Ling again? Yu Ran hurriedly drove her family's luxury car to pick me up, leaning out of the window to ask before I even got in. Wait until I get in first. Then I'll tell you slowly, I said, somewhat amused. I opened the car door, got in, and handed my phone to Yu Ran, letting her look at the pictures on it. Wow! Yuran exclaimed. I don't understand. Is this for real? Did Lin Ling manage to hook a real wealthy man? No. I'm just surprised. Such a huge pigeon egg made of glass. Yu Ran laughed for quite a while. At first glance, I thought she had actually landed a real one. The craftsmanship of the ring is quite good just for the craftsmanship alone. It must be worth several thousand yuan. I was speechless and clicked open another group photo to show her. So, do you know this person? Of course I do. How could I not? This is the only survivor of the Hua family which declared bankruptcy a few years ago. His name is Hu Yinjing. His parents couldn't handle the blow and passed away, leaving him all alone. There hasn't been any news about him in recent years. This guy is far from wealthy. He might even owe billions. He's been borrowing money everywhere. But the Hu family did too many wrongs in the past, and no one is willing to help them. I thought he had left this place, but I never expected he'd managed to deceive your good friend. Then all those things Lin Lang has been showing off must be fake. I showed you Lin Ling's social media posts again. Fake. My mom ordered one of these bags and it hasn't even been shipped yet. As far as I know, this model isn't available domestically right now. Only pictures exist. It's definitely fake. Even the real bag is something Hu Yunjing couldn't afford. Yu Ran was quite certain. Your best friend is in for a rough time. Hu Yunjing must still be in debt. If she marries him, your best friend will be completely drained. But Lin Ling doesn't have any money at most. She earned a bit from her live streams before, but it's definitely not enough for her to splurge like that. Who knows? Maybe Hu Yunjing has other intentions. Let's just sit back and watch the show. Come on. I'll take you to eat. Not 2 days later, I actually received an electronic invitation from Lin Lang. It was an engagement invitation for her. And that Hu Yunjing, my husband, said I should invite my own friends to come take a look. After all, I've known you for so many years, so I'll reluctantly let you get a glimpse of the life of the upper class. Don't be shy about coming. Her tone was quite haughty, but she forgot that although my family isn't particularly wealthy, we took care of her quite a bit over the years. She's just being presumptuous in that case. I'll go and see for myself. I informed you and my other 2 roommates. Oh, and Mang Mang. They had originally planned to go home, but they stayed back because they wanted to see Lin Ling's spectacle. So, I decided to bring them along. I believe Lin Lang would be thrilled to show off in front of us. The more people there are, the more her vanity would be satisfied. On that day, Yu Ran picked up all of us, accompanied by 4 burly bodyguards. Ran. What's this? Mame was a bit timid. It's fine. The man Lin Ling married is no good. My home is here, and since I'm the host showing you around, I naturally have to ensure your safety. Don't be afraid. They're very nice. Ming Mang finally felt at ease. I was very grateful to Yuran. This was clearly my issue. Yet, she went to so much trouble for it. Yuran seemed to sense my thoughts and said cheerfully, Don't think I'm doing this for you. Ever since school ended, I've been so bored. I don't want to go abroad, and I've just been staying at home. Gardening with my grandma, now having some fun to watch. I should actually thank you. Yuran was very sincere, so I no longer felt reserved. Soon, we arrived at the address on the invitation, which was the rooftop garden restaurant where Lin Lang had first sent it. How strange. We took the elevator to the top floor, but there was no sign of a wedding being held here. It seems Jing no longer has the money to keep up appearances, not even able to book this restaurant. There were many of us in our group, and we immediately caught others' attention. Lin Ling also quickly noticed us. It's Minghua. You brought friends along. Come over quickly. Lin Ling greeted me with great enthusiasm, as if we were still as close as before. We walked over with the 4 bodyguards following behind. That small area was blocked off by curtains and some floral partitions with only 3 tables, 2 of which were already full. A few of us went to sit at the empty table. The other 2 tables are occupied by Hu Yunjing's former lackey. Be careful. Yu Ran sent a message in our dormitory group chat of 4 since the other 2 tables were already full. Lin Ling pulled Hu Yunjing to sit at our table. Yu ran after sitting down. Hu Yunjing glanced at each of us, paused when he saw Yu Ran, and then looked delighted. Ling, do you still know Miss Yu? What Miss Yu? Yu Ran. Lin Ling looked at Hu Yunjing in confusion. Hu Yunjing nodded heavily. She is the roommate of my good friend Minghua. Lin Ling couldn't hold back her emotions. Today was their engagement banquet, so why was he paying attention to someone else? Oh, I see. Wu Yunjing seemed to notice Lin Ling's displeasure and affectionately patted her head. Lin Ling finally smiled, looking quite smug as she said to me, Minghua Yunjing treats me very well. Since neither of us is any elders, we only invited some friends to gather as witnesses. So, what do you think? See anyone you like? Don't say I'm doing well. And forgetting about you, I can introduce you to anyone over there. The people at the other 2 tables overheard Lin Lang's words and turned to look at us. It was clear at a glance that they weren't good people. You don't have to be polite. If you like anyone, just let me know and I'll introduce you to a wealthy partner. Lin Ling pretended to be very generous. If it weren't for the fear of causing a scene and making things awkward for me, my 3 roommates would have probably slammed the table and walked out on the spot. What kind of nonsense is this? Better not. You just enjoy yourself. I replied. I can see that Lin Ling is highly regarded among this group, so she must really enjoy this feeling. Sure enough, she didn't pick up on the sarcasm in my words. Yunjing's friends are really nice, and they take good care of me with me here. They'll look out for you, too. When you come, take a closer look. See if there's anyone you like. Lin Ling didn't catch my sarcasm. Instead, she felt her pride was at stake and kept pressing me. Yuran couldn't bear to listen any longer and changed the subject. Is this restaurant very expensive? Why didn't your fiancé book the whole place? It's just a few tables and a handful of people. Hu Yunjing's expression momentarily fell. Aside from his lackey at those 2 tables, only Yuran knew his true situation if it were exposed. Lin Ling would definitely break up with him. Yuran cast a rather mocking glance at Hu Yunjing. Lin Ling was completely unaware and thought, Yu Ran was just stirring up trouble. Don't be ungrateful. I kindly invited you here to broaden your horizons. Without me, would you even be able to come? Yunjing said it's just a small gathering with a few friends. The ceremony is just for show, and the money is definitely meant to be spent on me to buy me a few more designer bags. As she spoke, she even held up her branded bag. But through Yu Ran, I knew it was a fake. How about it? Never seen it before. Right. I'm the only one in the country who has it right now. Yu Ran and I knew it was fake, seeing Lin Ling's ignorant and smugly foolish expression. We couldn't help but lower our heads to stifle our laughter. Yu and Ming Meng didn't want the atmosphere to turn cold and wanted to keep the game going. So they enthusiastically echoed Lin Ling praising how beautiful it was and how much Wu Yunjing doted on her. Wei Yunjing also seemed to regain his footing, though he shot a dark glance at Yuran, which I happened to catch, but I wasn't worried. The bodyguards Arun had brought looked like they could take on 4 Hu Yanjings each, which felt very reassuring. Before long, the dishes were all served. None of us dared to eat much, as we were just there to watch the show. There were 2 other tables nearby, and we didn't want to get ourselves involved. After the meal, Lin Lang went to the restroom to touch up her makeup. Hu Yunjing tried to strike up a conversation with Arun, but Yuran ignored him, which left him visibly annoyed. You ran. Our family never provoked yours before. I advise you to accumulate some virtue and not ruin my good fortune. You ran sneered. Who wants to ruin your good fortune? We're just here to see the world. Besides, do you think you can even get close to my family? Do you think you can afford to provoke us? I noticed Wang's fists clenching tightly and quickly pulled Yuran further away. If she got hurt, I would feel terrible. After Lin Ling came out, everyone returned to normal and suggested moving on to the next event. However, none of us were interested in continuing, and we hadn't even finished eating yet. We declined Lin Lang's invitation, and she scolded us for being ungrateful before dragging Hu Yunjing away. Sometime after Lin Ling got engaged, I saw her moving. Several small trucks were called to move things along with various pieces of furniture. What's going on? Why is Lin Ling moving? I looked down at the building with binoculars. The reason I spotted Lin Ling at a glance was because she was wearing a fiery red bodycon skirt. Even without binoculars, she would have been easy to spot. Huh. Let me see. Yu Ran snatched the binoculars from me and also looked down. Then with a contemptuous smile, she said, "It seems your good friend has already sold her house for Hu Yunjing." Really? I took the telescope and looked a few more times. Indeed, if Lin Ling were just moving in with Hu Yunjing, there wouldn't be such a fuss. That house was left to her by her parents. It must be worth several million by now. Her parents worked their whole lives for it, and she just sold it like that. I felt a bit regretful. Who knows? Blinded by love, I suppose. Yu Ran side-eyed as well. Ever since Iran saw Hu Yunjing and Lin Ling together last time, she occasionally stayed at my place for a few days to observe Lin Ling's situation. The next day, I saw Lin Ling post on her social media, with a large villa in the background and the caption, "My husband opened a company for me. My husband lets me live in a villa." Not long after, Lin Ling sent me a message with that photo of her in the villa along with a picture of an office, making her look like a true career woman. See? Lai Minghua, now you know your past life was a joke. Right. I really regret listening to your advice all those years. If I hadn't, I might have reached the peak of my life long ago. Why bother studying so hard? Considering we've been friends for so many years, I'll let you work as a small employee in my company. I know you haven't found a job yet, and I thought you were so impressive after reading all this. Both Yuran and I were speechless. She must have been deceived by Hu Yunjing. I guess it won't be long before he closes the net. Just wait and see her cry then. If she asks you for money, don't pay any attention to her. After saying these words, Yuran didn't offer much explanation. I don't know much about these things, but I do know that good things don't just fall from the sky. Lin Ling's good days are about to come to an end. Sure enough, 3 days later, Lin Ling suddenly called me. I didn't answer, and after 3 consecutive calls, I finally picked up. It seemed like a truly urgent matter. Minghua. Lin Ling's voice trembled slightly. Minghua, could you lend me some money? Not much, just 5 million, and I'll make you a major shareholder in my company. Yu Ran's guess was spot on, and it was such an outrageous demand. You need that much. Where would I get that kind of money? Isn't your fiancé a wealthy tycoon? Can't he even spare 5 million? Lin Ling clearly grew more anxious. Yunjing's assets have been frozen, and he can't access a single cent. Minghua, we're best friends. Right. I know your family runs a business and must have money. Could you please ask your parents to help me? I know Yu Ran's family is also wealthy. Could you ask her too? If she gives me 10 million, I can get through this crisis. We'll still be best friends afterward. Okay. I promise I'll listen to you. I'm really speechless. Who can come up with 10 million all at once? Yu Ran's family may be wealthy, but why should they give it to her? She really thinks too highly of herself. No, not a single cent. I replied coldly. She suddenly screamed, and I quickly moved the phone away from my ear to protect my hearing. Minghua, are we best friends? Why won't even you help me? You clearly have money. So why won't you help? I hate you all. I hate you. Lin Ling's state didn't seem right. So, I quickly hung up the phone and blocked all her contact information. After all, she had already gotten the outcome she deserved. I called Yuran and told him about the situation. Uran said he would ask around to see what was going on. Not long after, Yuran called and told me about Lin Ling's ordeal. Lin Ling has gotten her comeuppance. That Hu Yunjing was indeed up to no good. He handed over his detritus company to Lin Ling to manage. And you know how Lin Ling sold her house earlier and had some assets. Hu Yunjing sweet-talked her into pouring all her money into the company. But that wasn't nearly enough. So, under the pretense of company projects, he coaxed her into taking out various loans, all of which went into the company. Now, Hu Yunjing's debts have been fully repaid, and the company under his name is operating normally, but all the previous debts have been transferred to Lin Ling. After hanging up the phone, I felt a bit emotional. At most, I had been worried that Lin Ling might be deceived in a romantic sense, but I never expected she would be manipulated so ruthlessly. Just as I thought this was the end, and was about to pack up and go home, Yuran called me again. Minghua, let me tell you something interesting. That Hu Yunjing sold the company, took all the money, and ran off. Now he's nowhere to be found. Probably fled abroad. I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's something about the most beautiful delivery girl and her current miserable state. Lin Ling went to Hu Yunjing's company only to be kicked out. She only found out then that the company had already been sold to someone else by Hu Yunjing. She threw a tantrum right outside the company building, and now she's probably in jail. Is that even possible? Hearing Yuan say this, I even felt a bit of sympathy for Lin Ling. Morally, it's not right to do that, but Hu Yunjing, just like his parents, is no good person. His parents ran a company that exploited employees, and their products were a complete mess. All they cared about was making money. But in the end, they got reported, and the money they made wasn't even enough to cover the compensation. They completely squandered the family business they inherited. Wei Yunjing probably knew he couldn't grow the company either, so he just ran off. Is Lin Ling now heavily in debt? Yes. So, you should be careful if she comes to borrow money from you. People like her don't know how to be grateful. If you help her, she'll keep clinging to you. But since you've already seen her true colors, I believe you won't make any foolish mistakes. By the way, Yuran, I have to leave here. I'll come back to hang out with you once this matter is over. I told Yuran about my plan to leave first. Yuran understood and supported me. Lin Ling is closer to me, so she'll definitely come looking for me. It's the right choice for me to go back and avoid her for now. After finishing my conversation with Yuran, I continued packing my things. It seemed I had to make a quick escape, judging from what happened in my past life. If Lin Ling found me, I definitely wouldn't end up well later. My phone received many more unfamiliar calls. I knew exactly who they were from, but I didn't answer. Not a single one. That day, I called my dad and told him I was coming home. Then I mailed back the things I couldn't carry and bought a plane ticket for the next day, heading home with just a suitcase and a small backpack. After getting off the plane, I spotted my dad's car right away. When I arrived home, I saw that my mom had prepared a whole table of my favorite dishes. It feels so good to be back home. I don't want to go out and work on my own anymore. Taking over the family business is pretty good, too. Half a month later, Yuran suddenly called, saying that Lin Ling couldn't repay her debts and was accidentally stabbed to death by debt collectors. Opening the video app, the incident had indeed made it to the trending topics, along with the entire process of how Lin Ling was scammed and ended up in debt. For a while, some said Lin Ling deserved it, while others cursed Wen Jing for being inhuman. Yuran sent me a picture, a photo from Lin Ling's scene, which was also trending on social media, but it had been censored. The one Yuran sent was uncensored. I could clearly see that small knife plunged into Lin Ling's chest, exactly where she had stabbed me with a sharp blade in my previous life. So, in my past life, I had suffered in her place. In this life, without interfering in her affairs, she had to bear these wounds herself. After this matter was settled, I recounted all my experiences in full detail to my parents, including the fact that I had been reborn. My parents didn't doubt me at all. They just felt sorry for what I had been through, saying I had suffered after all the turmoil had passed. I invited all my roommates for a long, overdue graduation trip, deciding to have fun first and worry about the rest later. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section.